How are you today, Dr. Wang Linwan? You seem scuffed. You're still muted.
Oh yeah, I'm just coughing. That's why I'm muted.
Okay. How was your son?
Oh yes, he's great, and he got recovered after he took some medicine. Yeah.
I see. Okay. So I hope that the daddy is also well, not sick too.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, while we were waiting for other to come, okay, let's start the event. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and participants from Indonesia. Welcome to the highly anticipated virtual 3-in-1 program on marketing of agricultural products entitled Workshop Series 1, Enhancing Research Competency Through Capacity Building. We are delighted to have you join us today for this enlightening and knowledge-rich event. My name is Novi Haryati, and I have the honor of being your MC today's program. It is a pleasure to be part of this remarkable event hosted by Brawijaya University. And before we dive into our agenda, let me give you a brief overview of what you can expect during today's program. So I would like to welcome Dr. Wang Linma from Lincoln University. He will be sharing the expertise on two compelling topics. On the first session, he will be delivered online sales and rural income, followed by second sessions. But before that, let's listen to the opening remarks by the representative of Department of Agricultural Social Economics. Please welcome Ms. Deni Meitasari, SPMSJ.
So Novi, which one should I present first?
I think the online sales on rural income, or you can go with writing publishing. Actually, it is up to you. But
oh yeah, because from the agenda I saw this one is the first that you just mentioned. The second one is first. That's why I'm a little bit confused. I'm confirming with you. Yeah.
Also okay.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay. I just need to finish the two presentations later.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Yes, Miss Deni, please. Thank you, Dr. Wang Lin.
Okay, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues, students, and distinguished guests, good morning and welcome to the virtual 3-in-1 program on marketing of agricultural products. We are delighted to have you join us today for the first installment of this exciting workshop series, focusing on enhancing research competency through capacity building. This event is hosted by the Department of Agricultural Socioeconomics, Faculty of Agriculture at Brawijaya University, and we are honored to have Dr. Wang Linma from Lincoln University as our esteemed guest speaker. Today, we embark on a journey to explore key facets of agricultural marketing, research competency, and the potential to drive rural development. Dr. Wang Linma is a renowned expert in this field, and we are fortunate to have him share his knowledge and insights with us. I would like to express our sincere gratitude to Dr. Wang Linma for sharing his expertise with us today. His presence adds immense value to this workshop series. I also want to extend a warm welcome to all our participants, including students from both undergraduate and graduate programs, as well as our esteemed lecturers and fellow researchers. Your active engagement in today's event is what makes it truly meaningful, and I encourage you to make the most of this opportunity to expand your knowledge and networks. This event will take place from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., offering us an extensive and enriching learning experience. Before we begin, please ensure that your virtual connection is stable and you have your notepads and pens ready to jot down valuable insights. We also encourage active participation through questions and discussions during and after the sessions. Once again, welcome to the virtual 3-in-1 program on marketing of agricultural products. Let's make the most of this opportunity to enhance our research competencies and contribute to the growth of the agricultural sector. Thank you, and let's get started.
All right. That was
Okay, so Norway is muted. I can say Norway is speaking, but Norway is muted.
okay. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Lovely.
I want to talk, but I see you're still saying something, but we couldn't hear from you.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right. Okay. So Miss Deni Meitasari is also agricultural economist. She is representing our head of department, Dr. Wang Lin, who couldn't make it because there are so many events right now in our department. But of course, we are very happy to have you. So to guide us through today's discussion and to ensure a smooth flow of the event, we have the distinguished moderator, and I'm so happy that we have Dr. Muhammad Sadikur Rahman as our moderator today. So, Dr. Sadiq, time is yours.
Thank you very much, Bu Novi. First of all, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, Honorable the Head of Socioeconomic Department, Dr. Fitria Dina, and also Honorable the distinguished speaker from Lincoln University, Dr. Wang Linma, and also Honorable all the staff and lecturer from Socioeconomic Department, and also unforgettable the beloved audience of the first workshop series. Okay, my name is Muhammad Sadikur Rahman. I'm as the moderator today, and also it's my pleasure to welcome you all to the 3-in-1 program, specifically workshop on enhancing research competency through the capacity building. We have two special discussion today. Firstly, we'll talk about the rating and publishing in international index journal, and secondly, online sales and rural income growth, evident from citrus production in China. In this special occasion, we have Dr. Wang Linma as our speaker today. Dr. Wang Linma is Associate Professor from Applied Economic Faculty of Agribusiness and Commerce from Lincoln University, New Zealand. Dr. Wang Linma mainly work in the field of agriculture and development economics, covering a wide range of topics, including sustainability and economic of agri-food system, and also food production and marketing, farmer organization, agribusiness, climate change and adaptation, land transfers, agriculture technology adoption, productivity and technical efficiency. And also, Dr. Wang Linma has published over 120 articles in international peer-reviewed journal and have been reviewed more than 100 articles in reputable journal. And also, Dr. Wang Linma is have a higher contribution in the academic discipline by serving as co-editor and also associate editor for several reputable international journals such as Review Development Economics, Annal of Public and Cooperative Economics, and the Australian Journal of Agriculture and Resource Economics, and also International Journal of Sustainable Development and World Ecology. Interestingly, Dr. Wang Linma also becoming a top 10 economics in New Zealand. So this is an interesting background for Dr. Wang Linma to be share with us about their experience specifically in how to read and publish international index journal. Without any further ado, let me invite Dr. Wang Linma to start the speech. Please welcome Dr. Wang Linma.
Yeah, thank you, Novi, thank you, Sodik, and thank you, Danny, for introducing me here, and thank you very much for University of Brawijaya to give me this opportunity to speak here. And can you see my screen?
Yes, sure.
Okay, great. It's my great honor here to be to talk about writing and publishing in international indexed journals. So this is the structure of today's presentation. So firstly, I will give a general introduction. In the second part, I will talk about how to structure a manuscript based on my experiences. And thirdly, I will give a detailed discussion about how to prepare contents in different sections. And fourthly, I will talk about tips for writing literature review. And fifthly, I will share some tips for finding a suitable topic. And sixthly, I will talk about tips for journal submission. And finally, I will talk about the tips for responding to reviewers' comments. So firstly, why should we publish? We have various reasons to push ourselves to publish. For example, for postgraduate students, sometimes they need to publish before they can get their degree, or they want to compete for a better academic job. That's why they have to publish. For young scholars, they want to improve their reputation in their field. That's why they need to publish. And for university staff or for staff who are working in research institute, they need publications to get promoted. Or for some scholars, they want to help advance the knowledge in a particular field. So we have different reasons to publish. Firstly, before we write a journal article, we need to find out where we can get the literature we need. So usually, we have different places to get the literature we are looking for. The first common place is Google Scholar. The second place is JSTOR. And JSTOR, the third place is Science Direct, and the fourth place is Ideas. And I think most of you have used the Google Scholar or Science Direct to check or download the literature. So taking ideas as an example here, how we can find the literature. So normally in the ideas website, we can check the authors. So you can see the authors in your field, and you can also check in a particular country which university or institute has a better ranking in your field. So you can check from the ideas. And at the right top of the ideas website, we can see working papers and the journals. So here we can also find the journals. And the working paper here, many refer to those papers that have been presented in international journals. So by reading those working papers, you can see what is going on in your field globally. Okay, so I just introduced where to find the literature. And secondly, when we get the literature, we have to use some software to manage the literature, because it is messy if we just create different folders and save the literature. So it is highly recommended to use the software to manage your literature. So the common, there are many software that can be used to manage the software. The most common one is EndNote, and the second type is Mendeley and others. I'm mainly using Mendeley. Lincoln University, we are using the EndNote. So for Mendeley is for free, and it has a limited space, but that space is more than enough to use. And for EndNote, I think people have to pay to use it. So no matter which way you use, you need to familiar yourself with one of them to help you manage your literature. Okay, so in the second part, we'll talk about how to structure a manuscript. So for a manuscript, we usually have a title page and the body of the manuscript. So under the title page, we have the title, abstract, and the keywords, and also GEL classification or GEL codes. I mean, GEL classification and GEL codes, they are the same thing. Different journals just have different requirements. No matter which one you use, it doesn't matter, because for some journals, they do not have GEL codes. For some journals, if you use GEL codes and that journal use GEL classification, the editor will correct it when they before they publish the paper. So it doesn't matter. We call it typesetter. For the body of the manuscript, we always start with an introduction, and then background or literature review section. For background or literature review section, sometimes we do not have it in the manuscript, so they do not always exist. The third part is the theoretical or conceptual framework, and the fourth part is the methodology. So for some papers, they do not have the theoretical or conceptual framework either, because this part is always difficult to develop. And the fourth part is the methodology. So methodology includes the empirical specification or estimation strategy, and data and descriptive statistics sections. And the following parts is results and discussion. The next part is the conclusions and the policy implications. So why should I use a green color for and policy implications? Because sometimes we use conclusions and policy implications, and sometimes we just use conclusions. Because for social science study, policy implications has to be discussed by default. Even we did not say and policy implications, we still need to discuss policy implications based on the key findings developed from the study. And afterwards, it is references, figures, tables, and appendix. So when we submit a manuscript to a journal, usually we do not include figures and tables in the main context. We place them behind the references. And finally, after the paper is accepted, the publishing editor will decide the most appropriate place to place the figures and the tables. And now let's talk about the introduction section. So for the introduction, they usually start with the background to the problem, trying to show why your research is relevant to your topic and why it is important. So you need to motivate your paper. So it might be a highly topical policy question or something relevant for business in the industry sector, such as the food security company or stock market you have interest, or something that is relevant to ongoing discussion in the scientific literature. So usually for the first paragraph of the introduction section, you need to help motivate the paper. What's your motivation to write this article? So in the literature section, after you write the background information, you need to clearly identify what have been done in the literature and what is missing. What is missing is a research gap. So we usually review the literature to identify what have been done to develop the research gap. Research gap is also called the deficiency of the literature. And based on the research gap, we need to highlight the significance to explore or address the research gap. So once we have the research gap, we need to talk about the research objective of your research. And based on the research objective, we can develop the contributions. So here, research contribution and research objective is different. Research objective means what you are going to do. And research contributions means what you are going to add to the literature to achieve your objective, or what is the new blood you are going to add to the literature to help you to achieve your objective. So in the introduction section, we need to explain the topic of the paper and put into a broad context, and then clarify the research gap, clearly state the paper's objective, and discuss the importance of contributions. And in this section, we only need to briefly mention the methodology and data sources. We don't need to expand our discussions about methodology and data. We just need to briefly mention them. And in the last paragraph of the introduction section, we need to give a short overview to see how the rest of the paper is structured. So when should we include the literature review section? As I mentioned in the beginning, not all papers have the literature review section. So this is different from writing a master or PhD thesis. When we write master and PhD thesis, we must include literature review section. However, when writing a journal article, we may not include a literature review section. This is because we have reviewed the literature in the introduction section to develop the research gap. So under which cases we should include the literature review section? The first case is if there exist many studies in the relevant field, but you want to further highlight the research gap and your research contribution. In this case, it's better to include a literature review section. We say if there exist many studies in that field, but you still find another research gap. For example, non-farm work participation, because we're from social science subject, so we know non-farm work. So if we check non-farm work participation, we can say there are so many literature discussing non-farm work. So in this case, it's better to include the literature review section. Or another example, if we want to analyze the impact of something on food security. So food security is a hot topic. Many scholars have explored the factors influencing food security. So in this case, you just need to review the literature, and finally you highlight, despite the rich findings in the literature, the question you are going to explore has not been explored in the literature to highlight your research contribution. So the second case is when you revise and resubmit a manuscript. If a reviewer suggests you to include a literature review section, so in this case, you cannot say no. You cannot say we have discussed the literature in the introduction section, and there's no need to include the literature review section. So when reviewer suggests you to include a literature review section, we must include it, because we always need to treat reviewers as God. So when we discuss the literature review section, we should try to avoid overlap of literature appearing in those two sections. So next part is the methodology. So the basic objectives of writing about your methodology are to reveal your motivation for choosing it, and to make your approach in principle reproducible for the reader. So when we introduce the methodology, we need to clearly highlight why we use that approach, whether other approaches are also available, why those approaches cannot be used. So if the methodology is part of your contribution, then this section should carefully argue why the methodology you select is better than others that are also available. The next key point is consistency. So the writing should be consistency for when discussing the methodology. The next part is the data. So for the data used for analysis, we have cross-sectional data, we have time series data, and we have time panel data, and also others. For example, case study, data used for case study, or data used for meta-analysis. So cross-sectional data is more common in our research. For example, SODIC used cross-sectional data collected in Indonesia to write some papers. So cross-sectional data is very common. So when writing the data section, we should clearly indicate data sources, how you obtain the data, that is a sampling strategy, and a sampling procedure. And all variables should be defined precisely. And also we should include the descriptive statistics. So here, when I say all variables should be defined precisely, that means in your table 1, for example, you have a education variable. In your table 1, you use education. In table 2, you use edu dot. This is not consistent. So all variables should be defined and used consistently. Furthermore, for example, in table 1, you use household size. In table 2, you use HH size. Did you see the difference? So this is not consistent. If you define your variables as household size in all other places, in all other tables, you must use household size consistently. So in the first table, if you use household size, in the second table, you cannot use HH size. Okay, so that's why I say all variables should be defined precisely. And also in data section, if your section heading is a data, for example, section 4.4 data, and then under this section, you need to clearly introduce the data. The data used in this study are from, or something like this. You cannot say if your section heading is the data. However, for example, if Norway got her data from Java province, do you have a Java province there? Yes. Okay, so if Norway's writing has data were collected from Java province, the section heading is a 4-point data. And under this section, you cannot just describe Java province. Probably you need to talk about the economic conditions of Java, climate conditions of Java, something this, and then you talk about how you get your data. Because your heading is a 4-point data. In this case, so under this section, you must clearly say the first sentence should be the data used for this study are collected from Java province, Indonesia, and then further to introduce how you do the sampling. So you cannot first introduce a Java province and then introduce data. So that is another detail you need to pay attention. So the heading should match your writing. So when I review the literature, or when I review the papers for other journals, or when I serve as an editor, sometimes in the data section, so the heading of the section is the data. However, after reading one paragraph, you still have no idea where the data are from. So your section heading should closely match your writing. So if under data section, you also introduced your server side, you should use subheadings. Okay, now let's talk about results. The details we need to pay attention in the result section. Okay, so in result section, we need to present the results as specific as possible. And also we need to compare your results with existing ones. So why should we need to compare your results with existing ones? Because your research is developed based on the existing research. So you just cannot write or describe something without including the existing literature. So if you are doing the empirical analysis, you should explain what you have found in your results or in your table, and then explain your results, why. And afterwards, if you can find relevant literature, you need to compare your results. with the existing ones. For example, in one analysis, you find education has a positive impact on and significant impact on household income. Or we say, if we find that education has a positive and significant impact on individuals' salary scale, that means more education, higher salary. So in this case, you need to explain that the results show that education has a positive and significant impact on individuals' salary. So this is what you have found from your results. And then in the second sentence, you need to explain why. So you can say education can help improve human capital or increase people's capability to learn new knowledge, or can help people to find better jobs or something like this, which finally contribute to high salaries. Okay, so firstly, we described what we found from the results. And secondly, we explained why. And thirdly, we may use the existing literature to compare with what you found. And also, for example, here, the third sentence, we can say Sodic 2023 also found a positive relationship between education and the individual's salary. So this is complete discussion. So another point I need to point out is the insignificant coefficients of the variables. So for the insignificant coefficients of variables are usually not explained. However, if they are key variables discussed in your analysis, you should explain it. For example, in Novice research, she is trying to investigate the impact of internet use and smartphone use on household nutrition intake. And she found that smartphone use has a positive and significant impact on household nutrition intake. However, internet use doesn't have a significant impact. So in this case, internet use and smartphone use are two key variables. And in doing this research, you also control for other control variables. For example, the individual's age, education, gender, household size, farm size, or something as control variables. So because internet use and smartphone use are two key variables, even the internet use variable is insignificant, you still need to explain why, because it is a key variable. But if the education is insignificant, you don't need to explain it because education is just a control variable. Okay. And the last part is the conclusions and the policy implications. So the concluding section of the paper include a brief restatement of the paper's objective and a very short summary of what you did to achieve the objective. And in the middle part is the major findings. And afterwards is a discussion of the wide implications of the results. So when we discuss the implications or policy implications of the results, we should write the implications based on the key findings of the research or of your findings. And the last part is a limitation or future research direction. This part is not compulsory, and sometimes we don't need to include it. But we should be careful when writing the limitations, because for some people, if they do not have a good idea how to write the limitation, they may make the writing worse. So limitation is something that you cannot you cannot investigate in this study, but you suggest for future exploration or for future investigation. You cannot say sometimes if you cannot write it clearly, your imitation will reflect your writing is rubbish. So in this case, you cannot write that kind of limitation. Where people should be very careful for writing limitation. So for example, in Novi is nothing, and in Novi's research, Novi analyzed the impact of smartphone use on household nutrition intake, and she only used 1 year data, that is cross-sectional data. For research limitation, Novi can write, although the findings of the paper are interesting, it is only based on cross-sectional data. Therefore, we cannot capture dynamic effects of smartphone use on household nutrition intake. Therefore, future studies should explore the dynamic effects of smartphone use on household nutrition intake when panel data are available. So you can write it in this way. Okay, so normally we do not write the abstract at the beginning. We usually write the abstract section when we finish everything in the paper. So the abstract section of the paper include background to the problem. This is optional. Optionals, sometimes you need it, sometimes you don't need it. And restatement of the paper's objective. The theory method and the data used to achieve the objective. This is compulsory. You must have it. And then a very short summary of what you need to achieve the objective. And the main findings, they are compulsory. For the brief policy implications, we just need 1 sentence. It is optional. Sometimes we need it, sometimes we don't need it. Okay, so here I will give you an example. For example, if Novi did a research analyzing the impact of smartphone use on household nutrition intake using data collected from Java province, Indonesia, How can we write it? So sometimes if you write background, you can say, although smartphone use becomes more and more popular in people's daily life, little is known about its effect on household nutrition intake. So this is the background information. We know smartphone use becomes more and more popular. However, we don't know its impact on household nutrition intake. And then in the second sentence, that is objective. This study analyzes the impact of smartphone use on household nutrition intake using data collected from Java province, Indonesia. This is the second one. So we introduce objective data. And then we may also introduce a method. So we use endogenous treatment regression model to address the selection bias issues associated with smartphone use. Okay, so we have I have introduced the background, objective, data, and the method, everything. And then you can talk about, so probably man and woman are different in smartphone use. So the influence on household nutrition intake might be different. So you can also say, we also explore the gender differences in smartphone use and household nutrition intake. And afterwards, we can talk about the findings. So we can say the results show that smartphone use has a positive and significant impact on household nutrition intake. We also find that women smartphone users have a higher expenditure on nutritious food than male smartphone users. So we highlighted the gender differences. And then we talk about the implications. The findings of this study highlight the importance of promoting smartphone use among rural people, improving their nutrition intake. Okay, I just explained the example point by point. Okay, so we move to other sections. So for the abstract, the length of the abstract is 150 to 250 words, depending on journals. So how can you find the information of a word limit for abstract? The first place is reading the author guideline. So for all journals, they have an author guideline. So you can find the word limit for the abstract. The second one is counting the words of abstract in the latest issues of the journals you want to submit. So you just copy paste the abstract of the existing paper into Word, and then Word will tell you the the number of words in that abstract. You copy paste. You try different abstract. You will clearly understand how many words do you need for that journal when you write abstract. And next part is preparing citations and the reference styles. So some journals have specific requirements for citation and reference styles. Most of the journals have no requirements for citation and reference styles. They say your paper, your way. So for most of the journals, they do not have the requirements for the citation style. You just need to select one style and keep it consistent everywhere. And here I will give you an example. So for example, when you cite the literature, in one place, for example, Danny and Novi have a co-authored paper. So we say Danny and Novi. Let me see whether I can write something down here so you can see the see it clearly. Okay. So for example, Danny and Novi co-authored one paper. Danny and Novi. Okay, you published this paper in 2023. Found that this is one place. So in another place, you cannot say Danny and did you see the difference? So although both names show and, that is not consistent. Consistency means everything is consistent. Or this is one example. Another example is if Danny and Novi and Sodic collaborated a paper in 2022. So because when we have more than 2 authors, we use ETAL. So that is a Danny ETAL dot. So this one case. So Novi and Sodic are included in ETAL. So if in one place you use normal ETL, in another place you use ETAL. Oops. Ooh. No. In another place you use the ETAL italic. Do you know italic? Yeah. So here you use the normal ETAL, and here you use italic. I couldn't change the style here. Let me check. Yeah. That is also not consistent. Let me check. Oops. Oh, it was stuck. I go to stock. Wait for a moment. Okay. Now I will talk about the strategies of writing literature review. Okay, so if we have to include the literature review section in your article, there are two typical strategies if you have no idea how to structure the literature review section. So the first strategy is you first talk about literature focusing on other countries, that is international. So all other countries except for Indonesia is international, and then national, and then your focus. So let's continue to use the example of examining the impact of smartphone use on household nutrition intake. So when you write the literature review section, Novi can firstly discuss the literature that analyzes the impact of internet use on other countries. So in other countries, people have analyzed the impact of smartphone use on household income, on off-farm work participation, on job seeking or something else. So you can just explore the, you just discuss the impact of smartphone use on different outcome variables using other countries. And then you move to Indonesia. In the second part, Novi can say, in the context of Indonesia, people find that internet use or smartphone use has a significant impact on farm investment or on durable goods consumption or food security in the second part. And in the third part, Novi can say, although many studies have explored the effects of smartphone use, no studies have investigated the impact of smartphone use on household nutrition intake. Indonesia is no exception. Therefore, the present study contributes to the literature by examining the association between smartphone use and household nutrition intake. Okay, so here we divide the literature into different parts. Firstly, we review the literature in other countries, and then your country, and then highlight the research gap and your contribution. Okay, so now let me introduce the second strategy to write the literature review. So the second strategy is you divide the literature into different directions. So how can we divide literature into different directions? So here, when you write literature, you can divide the literature. You can discuss the literature into different fields. For example, you can say, a growing number of literature has explored the effects of smartphone use. In general, it can be divided into 3 strands or 3 streams. And then ABC, first, second, third. First, some studies have explored the impact of smartphone use on individuals' subjective well-being, such as happiness and life satisfaction, and explain and select some paper to explain them in detail. For example, Sodic 2021 analyzed the effects of smartphone use on life satisfaction. They found something. And then give a second example. So for section B, you say, secondly, some studies have analyzed the impact of smartphone use on household income and consumption expenditure. You select some literature to clarify them, to give a detailed discussion. And thirdly, the rest of the literatures have discussed the impact of smartphone use on food consumption. Okay, so you divide them into different directions and discuss literature from different countries. And then your focus, you can say, despite the significant findings in the literature, little is known about the association between smartphone use and household nutrition intake. The studies focusing on Indonesia has been overlooked. That's why you are going to contribute to literature. Okay, so these are 2 strategies to write literature review section if you totally have no idea how to summarize the existing literature. Okay. The next one is tips for finding a suitable topic. So suppose you have prepared a topic for your manuscript, but when I say topic, that means a title. Suppose you have a prepared topic for your manuscript, but you are not very satisfied with it, and you are struggling to find a perfect topic. So what is your strategy to find a perfect topic for your manuscript? So for example, Norway's topic is impact. Norway's topic is impact of smartphone use on household nutrition intake. Evidence from Indonesia. And Norway found this topic is okay, but it is not perfect. Although Norway found this topic is not perfect, but she is struggling to find a perfect one. So how will Norway do to find a very satisfied topic? And here, let me show you the strategies. Okay, so suppose Norway wants to submit the paper to food policy. Okay, so have you used the Science Direct before? Yes. Okay, so in this journal book, Norway just type food policy, and then type the journal name you want to submit here. You will have this list. We can say in 2023, this journal has published 99 papers, 22 171, and 21 157. So this website will show you the papers published in the journal from the latest to the oldest. So we can say this one is published in 2000, in August 31st, and this one August 20th. So when you drink a cup of tea or coffee, you can scan the titles used in the papers published in this journal. You just move your mouse and scan from top to the bottom, because for the Science Direct, one page can show 100 papers titles of 100 papers. So at the bottom, you can select whether you should show 20 papers or 50 papers or 100 papers. If you select 100 papers, the screen will give you 100 titles. You just scan the title from top to the bottom, and then you will get some idea. Oh, how other scholars in this journal give a name to their paper, because Norway is scanning with her own title. And then she got the idea, oh, I should modify my title in this way or in that way to better fit my context and to fit this journal. And then she got an idea. And way two. Way two is a Science Direct. So you can check the way two is the ideas. So you can check the website of the ideas. So here you can see journals. So you click journals. You will come to this website. So from A to Z, that is if you choose B, that means the journal's name starting with B will be appearing. This is the initial letter of the journal you want to submit. So for example, if you want to search papers published in food policy, we should click F. If we want to publish a paper in American Journal of Agriculture Economics, we should click A. If we want to submit a paper to Bulletin of Indonesia Economic Studies, Bulletin of Indonesia Economic Studies is a good journal in Indonesia. Okay, so in this case, we need to click bottom B. Okay, so if we click bottom B, we will come to this website. So we can see the website will give you the paper information published in recent years, from latest to the from top to the bottom. That is newest to the oldest. You just scan the title of those papers, and then you will get an idea how you should modify or improve your topic. Okay, so it's a good way to improve the quality of your manuscript through presenting your manuscript in well-organized international conferences. So these are good conferences in the fields of agriculture economics, because my background is agriculture economics, and I'm mainly doing research in the fields of agriculture economics and development economics. So here, the conferences I mentioned is conferences in my field. And also peer feedback. I'm not sure whether you have a department or faculty seminar. So if you have one, you can also present your research there during your faculty or department seminar, and then to get feedback from the peers. The more feedback you get, the higher the quality of the manuscript will be. So before you submit your paper, you should find different ways to improve the quality of your manuscript. And also Grammarly or polishing company. So polishing company, usually you have to pay, but for Grammarly, you can check the typos or basic grammar issues. And because my writing is very good, so I don't need polishing company to polish the language. So I usually polish the language by myself. And sometimes I use Grammarly software to further clear or further check the grammar issues. So I polish the paper by myself, and then I use Grammarly to have a final check of the grammar issues. That's why before I submit my paper, everything will be well prepared. Okay, so what documents do you think you should prepare before you submit a manuscript? Yes, that is a title page, cover letter, manuscript. Conflict of interest, some journals need it, but not all of them. Conflict of interest usually required by journals published by elsewhere. That's the publisher. Okay, so how to find a suitable journal? So for example, if you are not a mature, or if you are not an established scholar, you are still a young scholar in that field, you have no idea how to find a appropriate journal, because if you submit your paper to a inappropriate journal, you may get rejection or rejection. It will be a waste of your time. So when you submit your paper, you should submit it to the most appropriate journal rather than try. You try this. If it doesn't work, you try. If A journal does not work, you try B. If B doesn't work either, you try C. That is not a good strategy, because editor and reviewers are not silly. If your paper does not fit that journal or quality is not good, and they will reject it, and it's just a waste of your time. So before you submit your manuscript, the key point is you well prepared, and then the second key point is you submit to the most appropriate journal, the most fitting journal. If you have no idea which journal is the most appropriate, so here are some strategies. So we have Springer. Springer is a publisher. If you want to submit to a journal published by the Springer, you can use the Springer Journal Suggester. So you can say, you can just type your manuscript title and manuscript text, and then click suggest journals, and then a list of most appropriate journals will be suggested, and then you can further check and select one. And the second one is Elsevier Journal Finder. It's quite similar. Elsewhere is another company. The third one is a Tanner Francis Journal suggested. And this is also a very large company. Okay, so finally, if you get a revised chance, you need to prepare these 3 documents for your resubmission. The first one is a revised manuscript. So in the revised manuscript, you must highlight the change that you have made. You cannot use the tracking changes. So using tracking change is different from highlighting the change that you made. And the second one is the cover letter. In the cover letter is for editor. You should summarize what you have done to revise your manuscript. And the third one is a response letter to reviewers. When you respond to reviewers, you should respond to reviewers' comment one by one. You cannot manually combine 1 or 2 comments made by the reviewer. You must respond to them one by one. Or if a reviewer is repeating his comment, for example, in comment 2, the reviewer mentioned something, and in comment 9, he mentioned the same thing again. So in this case, you don't feel bored. You just repeat your responses. So normally for a journal, they have at least 2 reviewers, and sometimes you have 5, because for journal editors, they usually, for example, let me give an example for RDE journal. When I invite reviewers, I usually invite at least 15, and sometimes only 2 agreed to review. Sometimes 3, sometimes 4, sometimes 5. And if it is 5, that means more reviewers responded to editors' invitation. So sometimes for a few papers, I invited more than 30 reviewers and no one responded. Okay, that's all for the first part. We used a very long time to discuss it. And for the second part, I will use less time.
All right, that was the end of the first session. Let's give applause for Dr. Wang Linma. Now you can get a drink first, since Dr. Sodik needs to attend a meeting. So I will be replacing him to conduct Q&A only for 15 minutes before we continue with the second session. All right, so we have some question in the chat room.
Yeah, let me
find
my chat.
Miss Denny Meitasari.
Oh, we have 63 participants.
Yes, and it's growing in numbers. Don't worry.
I mean, people from your faculty are very hardworking. They don't want to relax during the weekend.
Yes.
Okay, so the first question is from Danny. I think Danny can directly ask a question about the result. For the insignificant coefficient variables are not necessary to be explained, especially they are crucial. For what extent we should explain this insignificant variable? Should we explain or find reasons why the variables are not significant? Okay, very good question. So in our analysis, especially empirical analysis, we have a dependent variable. We have a independent variable, and the independent variable can be divided into two categories. The first one is a key independent variable. The second one is control variables. So for key explanatory variable or for key independent variable, if they are not significant, we still need to make some effort to explain them. So firstly, when you explain, you should explain why the influence is positive or negative. If you find the influence or the impact is positive, you should explain why. So for example, if you find education has a positive and insignificant impact on household income, and then you can explain why education's impact on household income is positive. And then you briefly introduce why the impact is insignificant. So we have two parts. Firstly, you explain the sign. Secondly, you briefly explain why.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and another question from
Risky.
Yeah, it's I don't dare to pronounce the name because I'm afraid I couldn't pronounce it correctly, because during the last lecture, and one student name is called Putri or
Putra.
Putra. Yes,
Yeah.
he said Putri is for girl and Putra is for boy.
Men.
Yeah,
boys.
yeah. So I'm afraid I couldn't pronounce it correctly. Yeah. Okay, so this one is risky. I want to ask how to emphasize the problem so it could give a good impression to the journal editor and consider our article. Most of the core methods are similar. How is a trick to avoid plagiarism or similarity? Okay. So firstly, how can you give a good impression to the journal editor and consider the article? So firstly, the paper should be well structured. And secondly, when you prepare your introduction section, you should clearly motivate your paper in a broader context. If you want to submit to an international journal, so if your case is focusing on Indonesia, but at least in the first paragraph, you should highlight the problem in the broad context, so the readers will understand it's a global issue. Not only in Indonesia, other countries also exist the same issue. And then you gradually narrow down. So firstly, broadly, to discuss it in a broad context, and then gradually narrow down, and you will focus on Indonesia. And this is the way to motivate the paper. And in your introduction section, as I said, you should clearly highlight the research gap. You should clearly discuss the research objective, and you should clearly discuss the research contributions. Because in some papers, after reading, we cannot find what is the research objective or what is the research gap. Or sometimes the contributions discussed by the researcher are not contributions at all. Yeah, and for journal editors, when they decide whether they should send a manuscript for external review or disreject it, they will check the abstract section and introduction section first. So if the abstract section is okay and the introduction section is okay, they will quickly scan the paper to see whether other sections are structured clearly, and then send it out for external review. So normally the editor will not spend time to read your methodology or data or discussion section. They will mainly check the abstract and the introduction section to decide whether they should disreject your paper or send it out for external review. Yeah. Do we have any other questions? Oh,
Yes.
one question from Novi.
From me and from Mr. Awang also. For me, I'm interested in your experience with working with more writers. I know that you're writing in a ResearchGate or Google Scholars are not only wrote by you. And interestingly, in Indonesia, we sometimes have some grants for the first writer, but somehow it is very challenging to work with some people. So how do you mentions the name order based on the contribution, and is the writers are there in your writing also a part of your research team? Do you also, I mean, in Indonesia we used to have a research team, and therefore we usually write the name of the research team. So what about your experience?
Oh yeah, I have a very good experience in working with people from different places. Okay, so for the papers I published, you can check my Google Scholar, and I publish a lot. Probably this year I will publish more than 30, I think.
Wow, good luck.
And for most of the papers, I published so I'm writing by myself, so I'm publishing. I'm also writing with others. For example, my ongoing students are supervised to write, and also my former students. And I also collaborate with other people in other places. So, for example, Sodic and I collaborated 2 papers, and both of them are currently under review. So you want to ask how we collaborate, or?
Yes, because sometimes just because somebody is our seniors, so we just write it for them sometimes. So maybe the more contribution is for, because in Indonesia we have junior and senior lecturers, kind of like that. So
yeah,
sometimes those who are working much will be the second author for the first author, which is sometimes we have a conflict of interest. Yes.
For the authorship, it is always based on the contribution. So based on the contribution, you decide the orders of the list.
Okay. And
so for example, if my student is my current students or former students are the main contributors to the paper, so they will be the leading author because I guide them to write and I help them to correct their writings. So I will be the second author.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
If we have more than 2 authors, so we will decide the list of authors based on the contributions, the weight of the contributions.
Thank you. Okay. Now one more question from Mr. Awang. Seems like he is also writing.
Yeah,
in the chat.
I think I say this name before in my other presentations in your university, Awang.
Yes.
Yeah,
He
because
is very studious and always attend your lectures from the day one.
oh,
Mr.
so
Awang.
he's a student.
He is a lecturer, but in other faculty, that is faculty of animal husbandry.
Oh, and animal husbandry, yeah.
So I want to ask how to get the data, the good data from online survey in national representative. What should we focus on age structures representative based on national population? Or is there any other categories? He's asking about getting online good data from online survey in national representative.
Yeah, I think I couldn't give you a good answer to this question because I didn't do any online survey before. So I mainly use 3 types of data. For the data I used in New Zealand, dairy farming data, they were provided by Dairy NZ. Dairy NZ is a dairy farmer-based organization. They collect information from their members. And then previously we got data, we got a project there. That's why we can use their data. And for the second type of data is mainly collected by me before or currently by my students or by my collaborators. We design the questionnaire and collect the data in China or in African countries and then use it. For the third type of data is open access data released by some organizations in China. So I mainly use these 3 types of data. I didn't do any online survey by myself. So I have no experience how to collect high quality data from online survey. I think in Indonesia, you also have some open access data.
Yes.
For example, Sodic's paper, one paper. And we have for the 2 papers I collaborated with Dr. Sodic, and one paper used the open access data from Indonesia, and one paper is collected by them from Java province.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I hope that it answered your question, Mr. Awang, and thank you for the participation and the Q&A. So ladies and gentlemen, now let's, without any further ado, we will move to the session 2. Are you ready, Dr. Ruang Lima?
Or should we have a few minutes break?
Okay, then it's all right.
Yeah.
Let's go. Okay,
yeah, probably
so,
we come back in 6 minutes.
Okay, 6 minutes is fine.
Yeah, and then I can get some water.
Okay, thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now let's have a break for 6 minutes and we will be right back. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Novi.
Thank you.
Thank you, Awang. Awang's name is quite easy to pronounce.
Yes.
I hope I can see Awang when I come to your university.
Yes, sure. Okay, so welcome to the second session of the workshop series 1 held by Agricultural Product Marketing Laboratory, and it is an honor to have Dr. Wang Linma back here. Now he will, yeah. Have you had enough resting time, Mr.?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Okay, then. So the
Yeah.
floor is yours, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Wang Linma.
Yeah, sure. Different. Uh, Yeah, good morning. You're welcome to the second part of my presentation. Yeah, as you can see, the title of this presentation is Online Sales and the Rural Income Growth, Evidence from Searchers Production in China. So this paper is mainly written by my student, He Pei Zhang, and I'm supervising his work and collaborated this work. And Junpeng is the third author, is my former student, and Wei Yang is my colleague. I also introduced them to collaborate on this paper. So this is the structure of today's presentation. It has a 6 part. I think the second presentation is shorter than the first one. And the first one, introduction, background, and analytical framework and estimation strategy. The fourth part is the data variables and descriptive statistics. And the fifth part is empirical results and discussion. The last part is a brief concluding remarks and the implications. So we say improving rural income has long been a priority for governments, and establishing effective connections between smallholder farmers and a wide range of markets is crucial for accomplishing the task. So we say connecting farmers and markets is important for improving rural income. However, there are many barriers that restrict farmers from benefiting from agriculture marketing. For example, inadequate distributional channels. Sometimes farmers have no idea where they should sell their products. And higher transaction costs. For example, the farmers need to spend lots of time to search for the information about marketing channel, or they need to spend time to collect for the information about the sales price. And also the information asymmetry. Information asymmetry means that farmers have limited information about market. So consequently, numerous farmers struggle to identify appropriate markets and sell their agricultural products at reasonable prices, particularly in remote areas. These marketing barriers ridden agriculture production, unprofitability, and increase poverty and vulnerability among farmers. Therefore, effectively linking farmers to markets is important for boosting rural income growth and facilitating sustainable development. So online sales have grown rapidly worldwide owing to the rapid development of e-commerce and information and communication technologies in recent decades, and have proven to be an important way for farmers to access multiple markets domestically and internationally. So through online marketing platforms, buyers and sellers anywhere can instantly receive information on supply and demand, and they can access faster, more in-depth, and more frequent information interactions than traditional sales markets. Traditional market sales, that means selling in rural spot market, so which will effectively reduce information asymmetry. So online sales can provide faster, more in-depth and interactive information, which help to expand sales scope, reduce information asymmetry, and lower transaction costs. And some studies have shown that online sales improve farmers' lives, such as online sales increase farming returns, on-farm employment, entrepreneurial skills, and subjective well-being. So especially some studies have investigated the impact of online sales on rural income, but the results are still mixed. For example, the study by Li and Qin, they found that Taobao Village is a place to sell their products through online platform called Taobao. So Taobao is an online platform. In China, we developed Taobao Village to facilitate the online sales. So the results show that Taobao villages increase the household income, but this program assigned to less than 1% of China's villages, which is hardly representative. And Penn showed that e-commerce means sales their products online, improves the rural income, but the impact is different in different areas, with a inverse U-shaped effect in poor areas. And furthermore, the study by Culture in 2021 showed that e-commerce did not affect rural income. So clearly we can say the findings in previous studies are mixed, and we cannot find solid evidence that online sales can increase rural income. The mixed findings highlight that more research work is needed to help clarify the association between online sales and the farmers' income. By doing so, valuable insights can be gained for improving farmers' market access and rural development. Therefore, the primary objective of this study is to investigate the factors that affect farmers' decisions to sell their products online and estimate the impact of online sales on rural income. So this study mainly contributed to the literature from two aspects. Firstly, we consider multiple dimensions of farmers' income as a dependent variable. So in particular, we consider net returns from citrus production, net farm income, and household income as a dependent variable. So this different from previous studies that focused only on one or two aspects of farm income. Using multiple income indicators allows us to capture the spillover effects of online sales, because online sales not only influence income from citrus production, but also affect the sales of other agricultural products and regional off-farm work opportunities. For example, the online sales also stimulate the development of product sorting, packaging, and delivery. This highlights the fact that online sales of citrus would also affect the total farm income and household income. And secondly, we use the endogenous treatment regulation model to address the endogeneity issues because online sale is a self-determined behavior which could be endogenous when it is used as an independent variable. So compared with the widely used method such as propensity score matching method, the ETR model can address endogeneity issues arising from both observed and unobserved factors. Now, let me briefly introduce the citrus production in China to give you some background. Citrus is one of the most popular fruits globally, and China's citrus output and area are the highest globally. So this figure shows the total citrus output and the total citrus areas. We can see China ranked the highest in both total output and production areas. This is followed by Brazil, India, Mexico, Spain, United States, Turkey, Egypt, Nigeria, and Iran. And we can see the output and the total production areas in China are significantly higher than other places. So despite the significant output of citrus production in China, citrus price was only 90 USD dollars per ton in 2021, which is significantly lower than the price in India and Iran. Therefore, there's a need to increase the price of citrus sales in China because we know the net income is determined by gross revenue and the cost, and the gross revenue is determined by the citrus output and the price. And in this study, we collect data from Jiangxi province, because Jiangxi province is one of the 8 citrus planting areas in China, and it contributes to 8% and 11% of total output and production areas in China. In China, the citrus commercialization rate is around 88%, and in Jiangxi province, this figure is only 56%. Therefore, there is a great need to increase the commercialization rate of the citrus production. So online sales developed in the 1990s, and many global companies like eBay, Amazon, and Alibaba emerged. And according to figure 3, we can see that the online sales in both worldwide and China are growing rapidly. And in rural China, online retail sales were 2.05 trillion yuan in 2021, of which 422 million yuan was traded in agriculture products, accounting for 9.8% of total agriculture products transactions. Therefore, online sales plays a significant role in increasing the sales value of agriculture products. Now, let's look at how online sales can affect income from searches production, off-farm income, and household income. So firstly, online sales open a new channel for smallholder farmers to access to a wide range of agriculture product markets, empowering rural women to improve their income. Firstly, online sales determines the net returns from searches production by reducing the number of intermediaries and easing market information acquisition. So if we use the traditional supply chain to sell searches, probably the wholesaler will buy the searches from producers, and then wholesaler will sell the searches to retailers, and then sell the searches to the buyers or consumers. This will increase the transaction costs. However, online sales can help link farmers with consumers directly, which will reduce because it reduces the number of intermediaries. So by reducing the number of intermediaries, online sales of searches can help to decrease transaction cost and profit loss, because if we have a long supply chain, the profits must be shared by actors at different levels of a supply chain, at different stages of the supply chain. And because online sales can ease market information acquisition, it can increase sales prices and volumes, which will contribute to the growth of income from searches sales. And the income from searches will contribute to farm income, and farm income can further contribute to household income. And secondly, online search sales may have spillover effects on the income received from selling other agriculture products. For example, except for searches, tea, sweet potatoes, and passion fruits are also planted in survey regions. For farmers, they can not only sell searches online, they can use the same strategy to sell other produced products such as tea, sweet potato, and passion fruits. So, which will increase income from sales of from selling other agriculture products. And thirdly, we say online sales may also have a spillover effects on off-farm income, because farmers and their household members have to learn additional skills when selling searches online. For example, they have to learn packaging, delivering, product promotion, and computer softwares to better support the sales of their products. And those skills can help farmers engage in other off-farm work activities during the long selling season of searches, which will increase off-farm income. So overall, we can say that farmers acquire additional knowledge for selling searches in the non-selling season of nurtures. Farmers can use those skills to engage themselves in other non-farm work, which can help them to increase their off-farm income. And off-farm income can finally contribute to the growth of household income. So in this study, we are trying to find out how online sales of searchers will influence the net income from citrus production or farm income. The income from agriculture, from farm income, as well as the household income, because farm income is determined by income from selling citrus and the income from selling other agricultural products. And household income is determined by farm income and household income. And now let's look at the estimation strategies. And farmers are not randomly contracted for online sales, so endogeneity issue may exist. That means farmers decided to sell their products online by themselves, and no one forced them to do that. Because farmers' behaviors or online sales decision is influenced by both observed and unobserved factors. The online sale variable tends to be endogenous. Therefore, we need to address the endogeneity issue for rigorous estimating the impact of online sales on incomes of citrus farmers. So different approaches can be used to address the endogeneity issues. For example, propensity score matching method and IPWRA method. IPWRA method refers to inverse probability weighted regression adjustment estimate, and Sodic has used both of them in his previous papers. And for these two methods, they can only address the endogeneity issue of observed factors, but neglect unobserved factors. So here, observed factors, for example, age, gender, education, household size, farm size. Unobserved factors means, for example, farmers' innate ability or motivation. So probably farmers have some motivations to sell online, but we cannot observe farmers' observation or motivation. So by using instrumental variable, the ETR model can address the endogeneity issue of both observed and unobserved factors and help estimate unbiased estimates. So for ETR model, we usually estimate two stages. The first stage is the selection equation. So here, OSI star refers to the propensity or probability that such the farmer chooses to sell online. So it can be observed by OSI, which equals 1 if farmers sells online, and 0 otherwise. And here, INCIJ means the income. So J equals 1 means net return from citrus production. J equals 2 means the farm income, and J equals 3 means the household income. OSI is the key explanatory variable, that is the treatment variable. XI refers to a vector of control variables. So the data used in this study is collected from Jiangsu province, as I just mentioned, and the survey time is between October and November 2022. And we originally interviewed 1,009 samples, and after data cleaning, we got 926 samples, valid samples. So this is searches produced by farmers. And the third picture shows people are sorting out the searches. And now let's look at the data variables and descriptive statistics. So in this study, we have 3 outcome variables: net returns from searches production, net farm income, and household income. So net returns from searches production is measured as a difference between gross income from searches production and production costs. Net farm income refers to the gross income from all kinds of farming activities and total agriculture production costs. And household income means the income received from farm income, non-farm income, and other income. Online sales is a treatment variable which equals 1 if household has sold searches through online platforms Taobao, Jingdong, and Pinduoduo. So Taobao, Jingdong, Pinduoduo are 3 popular online platforms. So in Indonesia, and I'm sure you also have some online platforms for online shopping. So in this study, we used the 2 instrumental variables. The first one is the network fees that refers to expenditure on phone and internet bills. The second one is the peer sales, that is the proportion of people selling online in the village to the village size. And this is the continuous of this table. It shows the control variables. So we use the age, sex, education, health status, village cadre, risk attitude, family size, dependent ratio, propensity ratio, farming years, soil conditions, plot number, distance, and the location as the control variables. So table 2 shows the main differences in the selected variables between online sellers and the non-online sellers. And clearly we can see that the 2 groups of farmers are systematically different in terms of observed characteristics. So for example, we can see online sellers are significantly younger than non-sellers, and online sellers are more likely to be male compared with non-sellers, and the online sellers have higher educational levels than non-sellers. And table 3 shows the empirical impact. I should show this one. So from this table, we can see online sales significantly increases net returns from searches production, net farm income, and net household income. And online sales can directly determine net returns from searches production. It can, as we discussed, as I explained previously, online sales can have spillover effects on online sales of other products and also all farm work skills, which will affect net farm income and household income. That's why the impact of online sales on household income is larger than the income for for net returns from such as production. And the results also show the online sales and incomes of received by farmers are also influenced by other variables. So, for example, education variable is positive and significant in the first column, which suggests that education farmers with better education are more likely to sell online, because education can help farmers to understand the benefits associated with online sales. And education, better education can also help farmers to easily learn the skills associated with online sales, motivating them to sell online. So we also conducted the disaggregated analysis by gender and also by survey regions, and I removed the results of the survey regions here to save time. So we can see that online sales influence the net returns from such the production for male and female are differently. In general, we can see online sales can empower rural women in income generation. So clearly we can say that the impact on female farmers are larger. This is because that in many rural areas of developing countries, men are more likely to migrate to other regions for better income opportunities, and women and older people are left at home to look after the farms. And another reason is probably for women. They are more patient, or women are usually more good at communicating with buyers, know better how to move consumers through advertising and the process, reaching marketing skills. And these skills allow female household heads to obtain higher net returns than men. So in general, from this study, we can see online sales can increase net returns from such as production, farm income, and household income. So online sales have a income generation effects for rural such as farmers. And a disaggregated analysis show that online sales have a more significant effect on females than males for 3 types of income. Therefore, the government should consider enhancing the relevant infrastructure, such as information and communication infrastructure or logistic infrastructure, to support online sales. And also, policymakers should consider providing online sales targeted training to farmers with a focus on the techniques and benefits, because for some farmers, they could not understand the benefits associated with online sales, and for other farmers, they may have no relevant knowledge that support them to sell online. Therefore, government-oriented training are very important for helping improve farmers' online sales skills. Okay, that's all for the second part of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the remarkable presentation. Is it already published in an international journal?
It will be published soon. We just resubmitted the second round of revision last Friday. I think it will be accepted next week and published online in early October.
I see. Congratulations. I hope everything goes well with the journal. Now, okay, let's go with the Q&A. I have discussed some thing with Miss Denny. Okay, you want to give a comment on something? It's okay.
I drink lots of tea this afternoon. I hope I can still sleep tonight because I'm very sensitive to tea.
Ah, I see. Yeah.
I usually drink tea in the morning.
But tea is not like coffee, right? You can still don't get the caffeine, so you can
the good
enjoy.
thing is I had black tea this afternoon. I'm super sensitive to green tea. I couldn't drink green tea. I can only drink green tea in the early morning.
I see.
And I can only drink coffee. Yeah, for coffee the same. I can only drink coffee in the morning.
All right. So it's already afternoon, right? Or evening.
Oh yeah,
so
it's
you better
already
stop.
yeah, 3:47 here.
3:47. All right. Okay, okay. Wait a moment, please. Miss Denny is shy, so I'm going to talk with her first. Yeah. So Miss Denny would like to know what is the mechanism of the farmer to sales online? I mean, is there any platform where farmer just click on to, I mean, that mention how many kilos or something?
Oh yes. So Mr. Denny's secretary.
Miss Denny. Yes.
Oh yeah, Miss Denny. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So in China we have different online platforms such as Jingdong or Taobao or Pinduoduo. So for farmers, they should open account there. Let me show the website of Jingdong.
Yes, please. We are really excited to know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so this is the Chinese version. Yeah. So for example, if we searchers. Oh no. I should type Chinese. Do you see it?
Yes.
If yes, they ask me to log in. I'm not sure whether I can log in.
So first of all, the farmers need to become a member of this application, right?
The platform.
The platform, yes.
Yes. And then they can upload their product information there to sell. Ooh.
Okay.
Awful, yeah. Yeah, they asked me to find a different way to log in because I didn't use Jingdong for a long time, and my account has been lost. I have to use a temporary account to log in. You say.
So what are information in this platform? Is it the platform that you open is for producer or is it for consumer? This page.
Okay, so for sellers, for business people, they can sell their product. They can open account in this website, and then they can sell their products online directly. So for example, if you wanted to buy this one, we just click. Yeah, here it shows adding to the shopping cart. Yeah, pay here, pay in shopping cart.
How many methods of the consumers can use the payment? Is it online payment like transfers?
I'm not sure. Mobile payment.
Mobile payment.
Yeah, like Alipay or WeChat Pay in China we use. You just scan the barcode.
I see.
Yeah, QR code. You say here pay. Because the address has been added in my account, so you just here pay.
Okay.
Let me show. Let's move to the last step and without paying. Oh yeah, this is the address, and they ask me to confirm the address and pay it online. Okay, yeah, submit your order. Oh yeah, here, for example, this is WeChat Pay. Do you see it?
Yes.
Yeah, after you scan this barcode.
Okay.
Yeah, and the order is complete, so you can receive the searches. This is searches within 3 days or 2 days. So for farmers, they just need to open account here and upload their product information for selling. If we wanted to talk with the seller, you say, can you see this blue thing?
Yes.
If we click this one, we can directly talk with the sellers.
Okay.
You can also bargain the price here. You say here.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is one platform. We also have another popular one, Taobao. It's very similar, but this is another different company.
Taobao is not only sell the citrus. I think it is.
No, they sell all kinds of products.
Ah.
Yeah, you say I just searched the searchers. You say we can see it. So you can order it here. So here, 2 farmers are promoting using their orchard information. Oops. Oh, the internet is terrible today. Oh, they asked me to log in again, but I lost my information. Yeah. Okay, so you can see it. Yeah. Here you can see here there are 2 farmers here. They said we have 3 generations to produce searchers.
Yes, interesting.
So we are producing very high quality searchers. So the 2 farmers are promoting searchers by themselves.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So
Is there any the thing I learned when I visit Japan, that every product has the information what farm are they from.
Oh,
so,
yes. Here
yeah,
they have it as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
that
it helps.
that product description.
Okay. Product description. So it's very interesting to know. Maybe one day we will go to China. But you are not there in China because you are in New Zealand.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So secondly, is there any question, everyone here? You can type in the chat box and or raise your hand here. Yeah.
Yeah, you say this is a product introduction. Yeah. Or it is Chinese, you cannot understand it.
Yes.
Yeah, how to eat it, where it is produced, how to store it, or yeah, keep it at home, the taste, the name of the product, the characteristics of the product. Yeah, this one. And the package of how the package looks like, and how they serve how they provide services to the customers. They have to guarantee the products are standard one, not fake. You say 91% of customers found satisfied. Yes, the products are good. You say this customer received the product and prepared a video photo to show it's good. This is another customer. Yeah.
Okay. So the things that is also interesting is there is a chat column in your in the platform, so that can communicate from the consumers to the seller, because we want to know whether they get the quality as mentioned in the picture of the platform, usually like that. Because if it is compared with the other product outside agricultural, it might be having more stable in terms of quality, right?
Yeah.
When talking about agricultural product, face some challenges like fragile. I mean, it sometimes rotten in a couple of days if it doesn't have the storage, a proper storage, right?
Oh no, we should say appropriate packaging.
Appropriate packaging, yes.
Yeah. So for different products, I just realized you couldn't see me. Yeah.
Yes. Therefore, we think that you go anywhere, but
oh yeah, because my monitor is on my screen. Yeah, I just realized it. Yeah, and yeah, for different products, they have developed a different packaging way. So they make sure the products can be delivered to the customers in a good way.
Okay. All right. So when you mentioned the sample is 962, meaning that in China is very popular with citrus, right?
Oh yeah, and China is the largest citrus producing country in the world.
Oh, okay. And you mentioned that the sample derived from October to November 2000. I mean, in that
2022.
year,
Yes.
Yeah. How do you get that so many sample? Is it from online techniques?
Oh no, face-to-face interview. So my student He Peizhang went to the Jiangxi province to collect data from individual households who are producing citrus. And he went there not by himself. He went there with a group of enumerators. So he trained enumerators and go there with a group of people to collect data. And by the end of this year, in December, I have different PhD students who are going to collect data from different farmers. For example, one student is going to, or 3 students are going to collect data from rice producers. And one student is going to collect data from wheat producers. And one Thailand student is going to collect data from chicken producers.
All right. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Danny, want to add something? No?
Yeah.
Okay. What is the most interesting thing is in China, it works very well. However, I have some discussion with Danny. Looking back to our country, Indonesia, having an online platform for agribusiness is still challenging. There are 2 types, right, Danny? The first one, like what you have delivered in our lectures today. We also have the marketplace in Indonesia, such as Shopee, Tokopedia, but none of them provide a little room for seller of agricultures. And the second, we have also a platform. The name is Tani Hub. It is a platform to connect the seller and also the producers. There are so many horticultures that is being planned, I mean, in this platform, Tani Hub. So they get the business is like this. Correct me if I'm wrong, okay, Danny? So the farmer, the name is Tani Hub. Maybe Danny can show the picture later of the platform. And this wait a moment, this platform,
so I can stop sharing.
Yes, we have planned have planned this for you. Maybe you're interested in this. Can you show?
Yeah, okay. So I think the major issue existed in Indonesia for online platform for agriculture product is firstly, probably because it's a tropical area. You can buy fruits from the shop directly, because in China, like my hometown is good at producing apples, but we cannot produce citrus. So we buy other products from other countries, from other provinces. And secondly, probably for Indonesia consumers, they have no habit to buy agriculture products online. Probably. So is it common for you to buy vegetables online? No, you only buy vegetables from the supermarket. Oh, so in China, it's very common to buy agricultural products from online platform. And secondly, because the online platform is not well developed in Indonesia, probably even for the sellers, probably they need extra knowledge for selling their products. Probably, for example, they need to learn how to package their products, how to deliver their products. And if the logistic system is not well developed in Indonesia, which will restrict the online shopping.
Yeah. That's why the things that you see here is no longer exist. So it gone bankrupt in last year. There is news of it. So it's actually, I think we agree with what have been your comment. So this is the name of Istani Hub Food Solutions. It says that they will fulfill the needs of food, like what you have in your information earlier. So there are so many food. Let's see, this is the product. So the farmers in China, I mean, in Indonesia, we still facing problems with the accessibility of internet and also the Android for farmers actually. So I see that it doesn't become a problem anymore in farmers in China, right?
Oh yeah, that's why I mentioned in the policy implications here. You say I clearly mentioned that the first one, the first policy implication I mentioned that the government should consider enhancing the relevant infrastructure to support online sales. Internet is one type of basic infrastructure. Logistic system is another infrastructure. Yeah, in China, we do not have internet issue. So in everywhere you can find internet. In some cities, in some big cities, you can get free internet in those big cities. In university campus, the internet is covered. You don't need to buy extra internet. You can get free internet on campus. So many university students use the internet, use their smartphone to watch videos and play games because they have unlimited internet.
All right. So interesting.
So you do not have internet in some places.
The development of the infrastructure is still growing, and two of villages that I have visited, that is Singosari and Kepanjen, is still building the facilities. For example, in the office of the agricultural extension, they provide with the internet providers that can be used by farmers, but not in every place. So it's only in one place. So if they want to use the free access of internet, they just go to next to the office like that. All right. Is there any question, comment, or
probably there's no questions?
Yes.
People are waiting for another session. So you have the presentations the whole day.
Yeah. So yes, it is actually Saturday, so unlike any other working days, so it will be a bit quiet here. And also in our faculty, there is also an event. There is a professors. Yeah, there is an event with a professors that maybe getting more attention. But it's good that we have the YouTube. So I will also share the documentation for today. All right. Okay then. Maybe
so
if there is no more question. All right. So we can finish earlier. Okay.
Yeah, we should close here.
Yes. All right. So that was all of the workshop series 1, enhancing the research capability, with the guest lecturer Dr. Wan Lima from Lincoln University. That was a very good presentation on behalf on our Department of Agricultural Social Economic, Faculty of Agriculture, University of Brawijaya. We would proudly present you with a token of appreciation. Thank you very much for being our speaker at virtual 3-in-1 program on marketing of agricultural product since the beginning of this month. Give applause to Dr. Wang Lim first.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
thank you, Novi. Thank you, Danny.
The certificate later on through the email. And now it's the time for closing. We would like to say thank you to all participants, colleagues, friends from other faculty in the University of Brawijaya who has attended this event, and also to Dr. Wang Linma for the very remarkable presentation. Since this is the last day of you joining this session, we would like to say really thank you very much for you, and hopefully we can have another collaboration with you and your university in the future.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
bye
And goodbye.
guys.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
See you.
See you.